Okay, so for those who are joining for the first time, I will just introduce myself shortly. Okay. All right. So my name is Mark Winner Yeoman. Okay, I have PhD in educational management, then horticulture. I also have Doctor of Christian Education. Uh, I've been here for 3 years now. I've been in the Philippines for like 3 years already. Before I came to the Philippines, I stayed in Thailand for 6 years. So while I was in Thailand, I had opportunity to work with one of the leading research institutions in Thailand. So I basically served as head of international research publication. And then that is where I built most of my experience in research publication because I was in charge of improving research papers for publication in Scopus and Web of Science. So I was in charge of the university journals, 2 journals and 1 international journal. So in Thailand, I supervised over 1,300 researchers. So all their papers will be brought, and then I will improve them, make them ready for publication in accredited journals by the Thai higher education. So in Thailand, through my service, I was able to help so many people publish their papers. Okay, so that is my background. Okay, presently I serve as reviewer for 5 international journals and then editor for 3 journals, including Scopus and ISI. And I also serve as mentor for Web of Science, Publon's Academy. So I mentor students to become certified reviewers. So next month, on our 27th of this month, we'll be having peer reviewer certification. In case you want to be certified by Web of Science as a reviewer, you can join that training and then you'll be certified. I'll be your mentor through the program until you are certified as a peer reviewer for Web of Science. Okay, so that is my background. Yeah. So I have worked with around 10 plus journals, both local journals and international journals. So because of this experience, I'm able to do what I'm doing. Okay, so we have been doing this for over since 2000 and I was in Thailand in 2012 and I began this in 2013. So it's a long time. It's been a long time. Yeah, so through the years, all the experiences I've built, that is what I'm sharing through all the trainings. And presently, apart from the training that we do, we also do paper improvement for publication. Yeah, and our acceptance rate for Web of Science and Scopus journal is 89%. Around 89% of the papers we submit are accepted. Those that are rejected, we just improve them based on the reviewer comments, and then we make them ready for resubmission. Okay, so that is what we have been doing. I have a lot of testimonials in the Philippines regarding those who, through the training and mentoring, have been able to publish their papers. Okay, and usually our trainings are attended by college president, research directors, vice presidents of college, teachers from the ed, principals. We actually have medical doctors, okay, In the training on 27, we have two medical doctors who have registered for the training. In the past training too, we have medical doctors who join. So we have people from all walks of life who are joining the training. All right, so it's really a pleasure to serve you and to be of great help to the academic community. So today we are going to talk about plagiarism, which is a big issue so far as the academic community is concerned. And it has become more complicated because of all the softwares which is used to detect plagiarism. Okay, so we have to be able to know how we can, number one, avoid plagiarism, and number two, reduce plagiarism. Okay, so we are trying to avoid it, and then if all the measures we put in place doesn't work, then we try to reduce the percent plagiarism that we have in our paper. So this training is going to be very comprehensive, and we are going to talk about all practical means that you can use to reduce plagiarism in your paper. Because for most research journals, the acceptance rate maximum is 20% plagiarism. For other journals, it's between 10 to 15. So if the percent plagiarism in your paper is greater than 15 to 20%, it means that your paper is going to be rejected. And so speaking, when you submit your paper to a journal, the first thing they look at is the plagiarism. Okay, before they proceed with any other thing, they check whether the paper is plagiarized or not. So if they check and it's plagiarized, they will check the content. If they like the content, they will tell you, you fix the plagiarism. Okay, sometimes if the plagiarism is too high and the result is not something they really like, they reject the paper based on the fact that the paper contains too much plagiarism. Okay, so what is plagiarism? We have it. So let's begin right away. All right, so when we say plagiarism, we are talking about um, a couple of things. It's not just one particular definition. It involves so many things, and we are going to look at them. So from the Webster Dictionary, okay, it says to plagiarize means, number one, to steal or to pass off ideas or words, okay, which do not belong to you. Okay, so the dictionary calls plagiarism as stealing, okay, stealing ideas or stealing words. Now, number two, it also do with to use another person's production without crediting the source. Okay, so if you use somebody's information without putting proper reference, it's also considered as plagiarism. Okay, it's important to know what it is first, because if you know what it is, you will be able to avoid it. But if you don't know what it is, you will not be able to avoid it. Okay, number three, to commit literally theft. Okay, so like I mentioned, it's a form of stealing. Okay, this time it's not stealing money, but stealing information. And then number four, it also has to do with presenting an idea or an information as original. Meanwhile, it's not an original idea, making it look like, look, you are the one who invented it. Okay, so if it's somebody's information, you just need to give credit to the person who owns the idea. Okay, so in other words, to plagiarize is an act of fraud. Okay, so plagiarism is considered as fraud. Okay, I know somebody who paid over 10,000 US dollars because of plagiarism, especially if you write like a book or a music and you are using it for monetary purpose. and the owner, the original owner, gets to know it, the person can sue you in court, and you end up paying big sums of money. So plagiarism is a big issue because it's considered as fraud. Okay, so it involves both stealing someone else's work, okay, and then lying about it afterward. So there are two things here. Number one, you are stealing, and number two, you are lying about it. You are saying it's yours, meanwhile it is not yours. Okay, so you have to give honor to whom it is due. Okay, whenever you use somebody's information, okay, you have to give honor. So what is considered plagiarism? What is considered plagiarism? Number one, turning in someone else's work as your own, especially in the universities and colleges. When you give them assignment, they will just, download something from the internet, and then they will bring it as their own work. Okay, that is plagiarism too. That is not acceptable. Number two, copying words or ideas from someone else without giving credit. Okay, that is also considered as plagiarism. That is also considered as plagiarism. Number three, failing to put a quotation in quotation marks. Okay, so sometimes when you use information that's directly that is word for word, you have to put it in quotation. So if you don't put it in quotation, that is also considered it's considered as plagiarism. So you have to take note of this as well. And number four, giving incorrect information about the source of a quotation. Sometimes you have given the reference, but the reference is wrong. Okay, if the reference is wrong, that is also a form of plagiarism, which means that when you get information from one particular author, okay, you need to put the author's name there because he is the source of the information. He is the creator of the information, so all credit needs to go to him. So you don't credit somebody's information to someone else. Okay, so that is something we have to know too. Now, number five, changing words, okay, but copying the sentence structure of a source without giving credit. Okay, have had this over and over. People have asked this question many times. So changing the words alone is also considered plagiarism. Actually, the software will detect if you change the words only. So it is always advisable that the sentence structure is also changed, okay, in order to remove the plagiarism completely. And then number six, copying so many words or ideas from a source, okay, that it makes up the majority of your work. Okay, whether you give credit or not, it breaks the rule of fair use. Okay, so there are times you have put all the references, but the person's one particular author's information occupies like 40% of your work. Okay, that is also considered as plagiarism. I've seen that too a couple of times, whereby this particular person wrote a thesis. Actually, it was a dissertation. And then it seems like all the literature review is from one particular author. Okay, so if that is the case, then that is considered as plagiarism as well. That is considered as plagiarism. Even though you have put the source of the information there, it is still considered as plagiarism. So you should take note of this and then make sure that you avoid it. So if you look at the illustration here, the professor is saying this is just not good enough. She plagiarized, and then the student is saying, but it's from your book. That's the point. So the fact that you copied and then you put the source of the information there, that's not necessarily mean it's not plagiarized. Okay, so you cannot overcopy from one particular author and then you acknowledge the source. Okay, the acknowledgement of the source does not cancel out the plagiarism. Okay, and the next thing here is what about images, videos, and music? Okay, so using image, video, or piece of music uh, in a work. Okay, maybe you are making a video, making a film, without receiving formal permission from the composer of the music is also considered as plagiarism. Actually, I have been a victim of this many, many times. Okay, usually in music, we don't call it plagiarism. We call it copyright and things like that. Usually when I make Facebook videos and I use a song as a background music, okay, if I don't put the link of the YouTube, my production on Facebook is muted. So people cannot hear. Why? Because I'm using somebody's music. Okay. So we have to get this, that this is applicable to images, videos, and music as well. Okay. So these are plagiarism as well. Number one, copying media, especially images from other websites to paste into your own papers or websites. Okay, so if you use an image, okay, for your own work, you have to provide the source of the image. That's very important. Number two, making a video using footage from others' videos or using copyrighted music as part of your soundtrack. That is also considered as plagiarism. Okay, and then number three, performing another person's copyrighted music, which is called playing a cover. That is also considered as plagiarism. Okay, so if somebody has composed a music, okay, you don't use his music to produce your own. That is not acceptable. And then number four, composing a piece of music that borrows heavily from another composition. Okay, that is also considered as plagiarism. So plagiarism is not only about text, okay, it's also about music, videos, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at how to check plagiarism. How to check plagiarism. Okay, like I mentioned before, uh, if you don't know there is plagiarism, then you will not be able to fix it. So you should know how to know there's plagiarism. And then, like I mentioned earlier, with this knowledge, you can avoid plagiarism. Okay, you can avoid it right from the beginning of your work. So by the time you finish, even if there is plagiarism, it's going to be very low percentage if you follow all the principles we are using. Okay, so number one, what you have to do is to keep track of your sources. Okay, all the sources you use in your work, you have to keep track of them, which is very important. Okay, so while you are doing research and taking notes for your paper, you have to make sure you record all the sources of the information that you use in your work. Okay, so usually uh, most people become victim of this. So you are getting information from here, from there. You forget to copy and save the source of the information. So you end up with a pile of information without any reference to them. This is something you don't have to do. Okay. So one way that students commit plagiarism is simply forgetting. Okay, when an idea came from and unintentionally presenting it as their own. Okay, sometimes we don't plagiarize intentionally. Because of forgetfulness, students tend to do that. Okay, so keeping track of your information will really help you to avoid plagiarism. It will really help you to avoid plagiarism. Okay, let's continue. So you can easily avoid this pitfall, okay, by keeping your notes organized, okay, and compiling the links of citations as you go, okay. So you have to keep the list of all the sources you are using. You have to compile them, okay. You compile as you get the information. Compile as you get the information. So you don't get all the information, then you look for sources. Okay, so you look for the source, you get a reference, you look for the source, then you get a reference, like that. Okay, so you have to keep track, sorry, you have to keep track of your source. Okay, every source you consult. For example, if you are using books, you are using journals. Okay, if you are using websites or magazines, articles or videos, whatever you are using, you have to make sure that you compile the sources. Okay, at the same time as you work, so that by the time you are done compiling the information, your reference list is also ready, both for the in-text reference and then the reference list. Okay. One of the simple ways you can do this is by using OneNote. Okay, so if you have OneNote, it's easy to do this, super easy. Okay, so what you do, okay, keep track of all your sources with OneNote. There are other softwares like Mendeley, okay, which you have to study how it works before you can use. Okay, but if you are just a simple guy, you just want things easier in your way, one of the ways you can compile your list, okay, is using OneNote. Okay, and one good thing about OneNote is that every time you paste information, the source, it will give the source of the information. I mean the URL. It will provide the URL automatically. Okay, but because usually uh, if you use reference, if you are using APA, usually you are supposed to provide a DOI, or you need to provide a URL where you got the information from. So if you don't have the DOI, then it means that you will need to provide a URL, which makes OneNote very good because all the time it will automatically paste the URL for you. Okay. Now the next thing is you have to just open OneNote, just copy paste your sources, okay, as you work, and then you can color code, okay, all known sources, and then on all unknown sources, okay, as you go. I will show you practically how you can use OneNote in combination if you are writing, okay. Now before that, I will go to my desktop and I will just show you something here. Just quickly, let me go to my desktop. Just a moment. Okay. Can you see my desktop right now? Can you see? Okay. So I'm going to open my OneNote. I want to show you something here. Okay. So my OneNote is opening right now. Oh, okay, opening. Okay. So if you see here, usually I receive a whole lot of papers I've been working on at the same time. Okay, so I keep all the references here. So if you can see from my desktop, my laptop, okay. So this is one project which the author is Abubakar. So all the references in his work are found here. Okay, all the references are found here. Okay, so if I go to section 4, this is also another project or another work. The author is Vicente. So Vicente's references are all here. Okay, and then another one. Okay, this one, the name of the person was not put there, but you can see all the references here in tab. Okay, then another project here. Okay, so this is the reference used in the methodology, which is there, and then another one there, and then and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can use OneNote to simply organize your references. Okay, so if I'm beginning a new project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open a new book, and then I'll type in maybe Mac, okay, maybe project, Mac project, okay, project 1. Okay, and then all the references I'm going to use, I'm going to put them here. Okay, so let me show you something. I'm going to go to the internet again. Let me go to Google. Okay, let's assume that I'm looking for a paper that is about maybe, let's call it maybe teaching styles. So I'm going to put in over here, I'm going to type in over here research paper on teaching styles. Okay, on teaching styles. Okay, then I'm going to search. Okay, I can search directly from Google, or I can go straight to Google Scholar, or I can search directly from Scopus or from ISI or from ACI, or I can search from any other database. Okay, so when I find what I'm looking for, I'm going to open it, okay, and see the paper there. Okay, I'm going to, okay. So I'm going to open here. Okay, this is the paper I just opened. Okay, so let's assume that there is some information here that I really want. Okay, usually if you are looking for information, later on I will show you. Yeah, but just quickly for the sake of Google, for the sake of our OneNote. Okay, over here, the reference is not given. Yeah, the references are not here. Okay, the references are not here. But let's assume that I find information in this paper that I want. If I'm using APA, okay, I'm going to look for the author's name. Okay, the author's name and then the year. When that is finished, then the title. Okay, and then I can simply copy paste the URL, retrieve from blah blah blah, and then I'll add it to it, and then I'll paste this directly into my OneNote. I'll paste it into my OneNote. Okay, and then the information I use here, I will put the actual reference in the in-text. Let's say, for example, I want to use something from here. Okay, let's assume that I like this information. Okay, so I'm going to copy and I'm going to paraphrase it. Or if I want to use directly, I'm going to copy and I'm going to quote. Okay, so when I quote, uh, every time I quote, there is no plagiarism involved, especially if it's I'm using just a very brief quotation. If it's a long quotation, it's not accepted. So I copy this and then I paraphrase. Okay, then I write in, I'll go up here, look for the author's name and the year of the publication. That will be for the in-text. Okay, then the actual length of the reference, I'll take it right away to my OneNote. Okay, let me look for another example which has all the references so that I can show you. Let me open this link here. Let me open this link here. Okay, so we are going to download this paper here. Let's download this and let's see what's in there. Okay, so download. Okay, let's assume that I like some information here. Okay, in this particular website, okay, if I copy this, let's assume I copy this, okay? And then I paste in my word and paraphrase. Okay, now if I come down here, if you can see this, okay, the citation is provided over here. So if I click on this, it's going to open something. Okay, the citation will be downloaded. So I will just copy the citation and take it to my OneNote. Okay, or I can click on this one here, and then it will be downloaded. I will take it to my OneNote. If that is not the case, what I will do is the paper I've downloaded. So I'm going to go to my downloads, and then I'm going to check from the paper I just downloaded, because usually the reference is also there. Okay, so I will just copy it and paste it in my OneNote, and then I will keep track of that particular thing. Okay, I will keep track of it in my in-text as well. So the author's name and the year will be provided over there. And then the actual reference will be provided, will be contained in the OneNote. Okay, so that is how you can do it. Now let me show you this here. This is the paper I downloaded. This is the paper I just downloaded. Okay, so let me make it bigger here so that you can see. Okay, so this is the paper. Now we have the title here. We have the title, and then we have the authors here, as you can see. And then we have the year. Okay, this was, where is the year? Let's check it out here. 2019, this is the year over here. Okay, so to use APA, that'll be the author's name, and then the year, and then the title. Okay, then you can follow it with a journal, if it's a journal. Okay, the journal's name. Then after that, it will be followed by the DOI, like that. So you copy this and then you paste it in your OneNote. Okay, and then the author's name and the year, that's what you are going to use in the in-text. So you can use OneNote to track your your references as you work along. That is a simple way that you can do it. If you don't want to use softwares, okay, you can use OneNote, okay, to simply do it. Now I want to show you something here. Uh, Again, let me go to this particular document and let me show you this. Okay, let's assume that I'm trying to provide references for this particular work here. As you can see, there are a lot of underlining. Okay, so I use color coding usually when I'm doing references. So what I do is, there are times some of the references you cannot find them easily. Okay, some of them you can find them easily. So every reference I find, I will color code it. Okay, I color code it. Okay, so I color code it as green. And then if I can't find a reference, I color code it as red. Okay, and later on, I return to look for the actual reference using Google Scholar. So for example, let's say Clark and Mark 2018. If I have already found this and then I have saved it in my OneNote, I will color code it as green. Okay, maybe I cannot find it. It is not in my OneNote yet. I will color code it as red or some other color. So all the green means that it's already found in the OneNote. The red means that it's not yet found. Okay, so as you're compiling, you know which one that you have already got the reference for and which one you haven't got the reference yet. Okay, so when you are done with everything, you can come back to the red, go to Google Scholar and look for the actual reference and then copy it and take it to your OneNote. Okay, that's a simple way you can use to track your references. Okay, so let me go back to my PowerPoint again. Let me show you something there as well. Okay, so in using OneNote, that is how simple you can do it. Now in Google Scholar, okay, this is what you have to do. Just open Google Scholar, and then type in the name of the author. Type in the name of the author, okay, and then the year of the publication. You may choose to add just a sentence or a phrase. For example, if the author wrote about, let's say, teaching styles, okay, you just add teaching style just to make it more specific, okay? Because sometimes there are so many authors with the same name on the internet, it might be difficult to find. So you just add a little phrase or sentence. Even if you know the title of the paper, you can add it. That will make the search easier. So now you have to scroll to find the title you are looking for. And then you have to click on Cite. When you click on it, okay, you choose the reference style you are looking for. If you're using APA, just choose the APA. If you're using MLA or Vancouver or Harvard, you can choose whichever reference style. Okay, so let's go to Google Scholar and show you how you can do that quickly. Okay, let's go again to Google Scholar. Okay, just a moment. Let's go to Google Scholar. Okay, so here we are in Google Scholar. Let's assume that we are looking for this particular reference. Okay, we are looking for this particular reference. Okay, so I'm going to click on Google Scholar here. It's opening now. Okay, so I'm going to type in the title, the author and the year. So all this will pop up. Okay, But like I said, there are so many authors with this particular name. There are so many authors with this particular name. So to make it more specific, maybe this author we are talking about wrote about women. So we are going to add women to the title. And then it is going to make it more specific. Okay. So if it is about women labor or women work or whatever it is, you just need to add it. So let's assume that this is what we are looking for. Okay. So if you check here, this is site. So if I click on this, the reference is going to pop up. Now we have MLA, we have APA, we have Chicago, we have Harvard, we have Vancouver. These are the most popular citing styles or reference styles. So if we are using MLA, we are just going to copy it. No, just copy. And then we'll take it to our OneNote. You copy, you paste it there. So when it is pasted there, now you have to go back to your actual manuscript. And then if it is still in red code, then change it to green. Green means that it is now found in your OneNote. Okay, so you can use this approach to track all the references. And then I might say that more than 90% of all the references you are looking for, you can find them in Google Scholar. Not everything, but most of the things you can find them in Google Scholar. Okay, so if you can't find it in Google Scholar, you can just go to Google itself. So type in the author and the year, and maybe the title of the paper, or just type in just a phrase which is found in the title, or that particular topic the title and the paper is trying to address. And then you can copy it and paste it in your. So by the time you are done with your paper, your reference list is also ready, and everything will be okay, in the process. So this is how you can use Google Scholar to track your references as you move along. Okay, that's how you can do it. Okay, so now you copy paste in your reference list in Google Scholar. Now let's look at how to quote and paraphrase. Okay, to reduce plagiarism, one of the ways you can do that is by using quoting and paraphrasing, which is very, very important. Okay, if you look at the illustration here, okay, this cow said moo, and then the second cow said, I said that. I just said that. Use your own words. Okay, so don't say moo because that is my language. Now use your own words. But unfortunately, that is the only language that I can speak. Okay, so you can quote. You can quote. Now let's look at the technicalities about quoting, because when we say quoting, it doesn't mean that you can do it anyhow. Okay, so when you're writing your paper, if you want to share an idea or a piece of information, okay, from a source, you must either paraphrase or you have to quote the original text. So you paraphrase or you quote. Okay, that is one thing. So quoting means that you copy and you paste text for text or word for word. Okay, so the copy text must be introduced, okay, in your own words. This is something you should always do. So every time you quote, you need to introduce it in your own words. You have to introduce it in your own words. Okay, and then you have to correctly attribute it to the author. So introduce with your own words, and then you quote, and then attribute it to the author. So how to quote? So you have to introduce the quote, okay? So each time you include a quotation in your paper, Okay, you must introduce it. You should always introduce it. So this shows the reader why you are including the quote and how it fits in your argument. Okay, so you don't just write the quote and then put it in quotation. No, you have to begin with an introduction. So there are three ways you can do this. Now let's look at them. Number one, use an introductory sentence. Every time you are quoting, use an introductory sentence. Okay, so you can introduce the quote, okay, with a full sentence followed by a column. Okay, with a full sentence followed by a column. How do you do that? Okay, for example, you can say something like, in the Philippines, a recent poll shows that women contribute more to the upkeep of families than men. That is your own words, okay? That is your own introduction. Then you bring a column. Then after the column, the actual quote comes. Women are the breadwinners of families in the Philippines. Quotation, then the author and the year. Okay, then the author and the year. So this is something you have to take note. Okay, this is something you have to take note. So take note of this. Take note of this. Uh, Linet, please stop what you are doing. Please stop what you are doing. Uh, don't write on the screen. Linet, please. Don't write on the screen. Okay, so that is what we are saying. Uh, you have to bring the introduction, okay, and then you need to bring uh, the actual quotation, okay. So the quotation, okay, needs to be followed by the reference. So the first part, in the Philippines, a recent poll shows that women contribute, okay, to the upkeep of families than men. That is your own word. That is your understanding of the quotation. You get a point? So that is how you do it. That is how you do it. And then after that, the reference will come. Okay. Now, number two, you can use a signal phrase. You can use a signal phrase. And this is what to know about that. You can use a signal phrase that mentions the author or the source, but does not form a full sentence. So in this case, you follow the phrase with a comma instead of a colon. So if you use a signal phrase, now you are going to follow it with a comma, not colon, like we did with the introductory sentence. Okay? So for example, it will look like this. According to Loretta 2018, women engage as breadwinners of families in the Philippines. So here you will see that the quotation here has been paraphrased. Okay, the quote has been paraphrased. So if it's paraphrased, okay, if it's paraphrased, uh, then it's good to use the introductory signal phrase. Okay. However, if you are quoting it direct, then you can use introductory sentence. Okay. So now you use signal phrase. However, if you're using signal phrase, you have to paraphrase it. Okay. You are not copying word for word. Okay. If you do it word for word, the plagiarism is going to be detected. So over here, you can see here that according to Loretta, that becomes the signal phrase we are talking about. According to Loretta, that is the signal phrase. That is the signal phrase. And then the quote will continue. Okay. So the introductory phrase can also use dialogue verb. Okay, such as argues, claims, explains. Okay, these are just playing with words. So instead of saying that, according to Loretta, you can say that Loretta 2018 argues that, then the quote will begin. Argues that, or claims that, or explains that, then the quote will begin. Okay, so it will be like this. Loretta 2018 states, then the quote begins. Women are the breadwinners of families in the Philippines. Okay, so that is how you can put it. Okay, now number three, number C, integrated into your own sentence. Now you can integrate the idea or the code into your sentence. And this is how you can do it. If you want to code a phrase, okay, that does not form a full sentence, you can embed it into a sentence of your own. For example, in a recent poll suggesting women are breadwinners of families in the Philippines, then the author and then the year, okay, will come. A recent poll suggests that women are breadwinners, families in the Philippines. Okay, so here you are integrating it into your own sentence. You are integrating it into your own sentence. You are integrating it. Okay, so you need to integrate it completely using your own words. Okay, so these are three ways you can go, okay, in order to avoid plagiarism. That is how you can do it. Okay, that is how you can do it. Now let's look at citing a quote. Citing a quote. So all direct quotes and paraphrase ideas must include a citation of the original source. Okay, every direct quote, or even if you paraphrase it, okay, the reference should always, because the idea is not your idea, even though you're paraphrasing in your own word, but the idea belongs to something. Okay, so the way you cite a source depends on the citation style. Okay, so those of you who want to get your papers published, you need to cross-check with your journal and know the reference style which is being used. Okay, so many citation styles use in-text citation in parentheses directly after the quote, while others require you to use footnotes. Okay, footnotes are not really common. It's more common in writing books, but in paper publication, most of the time, it's in-text citation which is used. Okay, so the differences can be subtle, though. So make sure you know the rules of the styles you are using, and just be consistent with it. Use be consistent all the time. Be consistent. Okay, so when you quote, so in academic papers and essays, you should avoid relying too heavily on quotes. Okay, if you are writing a research paper, don't depend too much on quoting. Okay, don't use too much according to, according to, according to. Okay, if you are quoting, make sure that number one, it is paraphrased completely. Okay, and then also put it in your own words. Okay, and then put the references instead of quoting. Okay, put it in your own words and put the reference. Okay, so when you want to refer to information or idea from a source, it's often best to paraphrase, which means putting it in your own words, putting it in your own words, putting it in your own words, which is very important. Okay, so take note of this. Uh, this is very important. Okay, so the next thing here is this shows that you fully understand the text. Okay, that ensures that uh, and ensures that your own voice is consistent throughout the paper. Okay, so don't use too many quotes. Okay, put them in your own words and put their reference. That is better. Okay, to reduce plagiarism, that is the best way you need to go. Okay, when focusing on language, if you want to comment on how an author uses language, for example, in papers about literature and linguistics, like communication and media, usually it is necessary to use the quote, okay? Because if you want to comment on an idea, you can't just give your comment. So you first need to quote, and then after you're done quoting, then you give your comment. So those of you whose majors are in literature, in English, linguistics, and so forth, you can avoid quoting, especially if you're doing analysis. You cannot avoid quoting. This is something you need to do. Okay, so there are exemptions. For example, you are writing a paper about novels, okay, of a modernist author. Okay, in that case, you will have to quote frequently, okay, from the novel in order to their style of language. So these are exemptions. Okay, so if your field is literature, then you are excluded from this rule of quoting. Okay, quoting frequently will be needed if this is your case. Okay, so giving evidence to convince the reader of your argument, interpretation, and position on a topic. Usually, it's helpful to include quotes. Okay, so in debate, that is also something you need to do. Okay, you still need to quote. So this is also an assumption that you have to take note. So quote from primary sources, for example, interview, transcript, historical document, especially credible as evidence. Okay, so usually this is the key thing. For qualitative and quantitative papers, they are exclusion. They are not exclusion. They are differences. Let me put it that way. For example, if your paper is a qualitative paper, okay, let's assume that you did interviews or you did focus group discussion or something like that. Okay, in order to analyze the text or in order to analyze the interview, you also need to quote. Okay, so quote will be needed for qualitative papers, but not so much needed in quantitative papers. Okay, in quantitative papers, you don't have to use so much quotes. If you use so much quote in quantitative papers, you will have problem with plagiarism. Okay, for example, you are looking, you are working on a paper about the causes of a historical event. Okay, and you have studied documents and letters and written at that time. Okay, so in that case, you need to quote from the sources as evidence to support your argument. So if you don't quote from the sources, you will not be able, okay, to provide a valid argument. So every time you are providing an argument or you are trying to make a point, okay, in qualitative papers, you will always need to provide the source of your evidence in order to validate your claims. You need to provide evidence, which is needed or very, very important. Okay, so now let's look at when presenting an author's position or definition when presenting an author's position. So when you are referring to a secondary source, such as scholarly books and journals, articles, the occasional concise quote, okay, can be used to present the author's theories, okay, or arguments or ideas. Okay, so this could be used. But like I said, it's exclusive for qualitative papers, not so much for quantitative. Okay, so you can quote to show that your point is supported, okay, by an authority on a topic, okay, or to critique a position, that you disagree with. Okay, for quantitative, usually in the discussion component, that is where you are going to provide some kind of code, but usually that should even be paraphrased all the time. Okay, for example, maybe your results or your findings are in agreement with this particular author, or your findings are in disagreement with this particular author. Okay, so after you present your findings, you need to support it with, or you need to disagree with the other authors. Okay, but you cannot just say that my finding disagrees with blah 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 without telling what that particular author is saying. Okay, so if your findings are disagreeing with this author, you need to tell what that particular author found out, okay, in order to prove your point. Okay, so you cannot just provide the name and the year only and just leave it like that. Okay, in that case, your point is not valid. It's not valid. Okay, so try to put other ideas in your own words when possible, especially writing your discussion. To reduce plagiarism, put it in your own words most of the time. Okay, but if the passage does a great job at expressing, explaining, or defining something, it will be very difficult to paraphrase without changing the meaning or losing the impact of the quotation, especially if you are using a theory. Okay, maybe you are using a theory, the theory of human needs. You cannot just paraphrase it. You have to quote it word by word all the time. Okay, so theories need to be quoted. They need to be quoted. If it's a long theory, you can put it in a block, or you can just summarize it, okay, in a block. If it's a little longer, or if it's shorter, you can do it. Okay, so you can just quote it in a brief, and then you explain in your own words, which is very, very important. Example, okay, your interpretation of survey is supported by well-known theory. Okay, so if that is the case, you have to quote the theory just as it is. You have to quote the theory just as it is. Okay, so you find a sentence that perfectly sums up the theory. Okay, so you quote the author before elaborating on your understanding of the theory. Okay, before elaborating. So if you are quoting theories, first quote them, then explain in your own words. Okay, so if the quote is very long, just summarize it and then explain it in your own words, which is very, very important. Okay, now the question is, how many quotes should I use? How many quotes should I use? Okay, now let's move on. Okay, so the amount of quotes you should include depends on the subject area and the topic that you are working on. For example, those in the physical sciences or in agriculture or in biological sciences and so on and so forth. Okay, you don't use so much quotes compared to those in the social sciences or those in the humanities. Okay, and then even if you are in the humanities and your study is quantitative, you don't use so much quotes compared to those whose studies are qualitative. Okay, so again, let me put it this way: physical sciences, agriculture, logical sciences, and so on and so forth, less quotes compared to humanities and social sciences. And then in the social sciences and the humanities, if your study is qualitative, use less. Okay, if quantitative, and if your study is qualitative, use more. If it is quantitative, use less. Okay, now let's look at something here. Okay, in scientific subject, the information itself is more important than how it is expressed. Okay, so cost should be minimal. So let's assume that you did study on germination, or you did study on quantum dynamics or whatever. Okay, if your study is scientific, the result itself is enough. Okay, you don't need so much explanation. You don't need so much quotes. Okay, that's one thing you should know, because the numbers, the results, the figures speak a lot most of the time. Okay, so in the arts and humanities, however, a well-chosen quotes are often essential to a good paper. That's what I mentioned a while ago. So this is something you should know very well. So in social sciences, the amount of code you use depends partly on whether you are doing quantitative or qualitative. Okay, uh, that is it. That's what I said, Kanina. Okay, so this is something you should know. Please mute your microphone, everybody. Please, somebody is talking in the background. Mute your microphone, everybody, please. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are dealing mainly with numbers and statistics, you shouldn't include many codes. Okay. But if you are dealing mainly with words, you will need to code. You will need to code. Please mute your microphone, everybody. Mute your microphone. There is background noise. Please mute your microphone, everybody. Okay. So that is the difference. That's one thing you should know. Okay. So let's move on. Now this is the rule. As a general guideline, it is recommended that code should be kept, okay, between 5 to 10%. So if you are using code, it should not exceed 10% of your entire work. Okay, that is the general rule. Now, number 3, cite original source. Cite original source. Okay, every time you quote or paraphrase, you must include in-text citation that identifies the original author. So we have the reference list, and then we have the in-text citation. Okay, each in-text citation should correspond to the reference list, okay, or the bibliography of the paper. Okay, so this details exactly where the information came from, allowing your reader to find out more about the information you have presented in your own work. Okay, then you can use plagiarism checker. You can use plagiarism checker. There are so many of them out there. And then I'm going to show you how you can use some of them. Okay, so a plagiarism checker usually scans your document and then prepares it to a huge, compares it to a huge database of information. And then it will highlight the areas that have been plagiarized, or it will highlight the similarity index in your paper, or the percent plagiarism will be reviewed your paper. So you can use a plagiarism checker yourself before submitting your paper to a journal. This is highly recommended. Okay, so every time you are done writing, you need to check it with a plagiarism checker. Make sure that the plagiarism level or percent is less than 15%. That is the average accepted. Maximum is 20%. Okay, right? So this allows you to identify any part where you've forgotten to provide citation. Okay, and then it will also highlight areas that need to be paraphrased. Okay, every play that is very close to original text, where you copy the information from, is going to be highlighted. Okay, so then you can follow the steps above to fix the places where there are plagiarism. Okay, so this is what you can do. Okay, now let's look at long quotation. Later on, I'm going to present to you some of the plagiarism softwares. Now let's talk about long quotation. So direct quotation longer than 40 words should be in a freestanding block, okay, typewritten lines, and omit quotation marks. Okay, so if you are quoting something which is longer than 40 words, you need to present it as a freestanding block in typewritten font, in typewritten font. In this case, you don't use quotation marks because it's in a block and it's typewritten. So take note of this. If you don't do this, the plagiarism checker will highlight it as plagiarized. So start the quotation, okay, on a new line, indented 5 spaces from the original margin. Okay, this is what you need to do if you are quoting something which is more than 40 words. Okay, and then type the entire quotation, okay, on the new margin, and then indent the first line of any subsequent paragraph within the quotation 5 spaces from the original margin, and then maintain double spacing. Okay, so take note of this. You have to maintain double spacing throughout when you are quoting more than 40 words. Okay, and then the parenthetical citation should come after the closing punctuation mark. This is something you should know. Now let's look at this one here, synthesizing literature. This is one thing which will be needed to avoid plagiarism in your literature review. Okay, if your literature review is not synthesized, most of the time you are going to face a plagiarism problem. So you will need to synthesize. Okay, so when we say synthesizing, it has to do with combining separate elements of literature into a whole. Okay, so it is a way to make connection among numerous and varied materials. So synthesizing, if it is cooking, I'll call it chop. So getting different materials and then mixing them together to prepare one recipe. Okay, all right. So a literature review is grouped, okay, by topic and argument to create a whole view of the literature relevant to your research. And what that means is that depending on the topic you are working on, you synthesize your literature in a unique way, which I'm going to show you how you can do that. Okay, so this is one thing you need to do. Number one, you need to organize your sources. Okay, you need to organize your sources. This is one of the mistakes, okay, that most researchers do not do before they begin their work. They don't organize their work. Okay, personally, if I'm writing a paper, okay, what I do is I form a mini library. I form a mini library. Okay, and then I will download not less than 20 related studies, and then I keep them in my library. Okay, so which means that even when I don't have internet, I can still work because I have my library intact already. Okay, and what I do is now I organize sources, because when they are organized, your literature writing, literature review becomes super simple all the time. So this is what you need to do. After collecting the relevant literature, okay, you've got a lot of information to work through, okay, and then no clear idea of how it all fits together. Let's assume that you downloaded 20 papers. The question is, how do they fit together? Okay, how do they connect? Okay, so if they are not organized, you will not be able to write a good literature review. Most of us, all we do is that we just copy and paste, we just copy and paste, we just copy and paste, we just copy and paste. And that is why we have problem with plagiarism, because there is no synthesis. So before you start writing, okay, you need to organize your notes in a way that allows you to see the relationship between the sources. Okay, so one way to begin synthesizing a literature is to put your notes into a table, okay, which I will show you in a moment. Okay, so depending on your topic and the type of literature you are dealing with, there are several ways that you can organize your literature. So it can look like that. Okay, let's assume that you have 5 papers you are working on, or 4 papers. So you have source 1, source 2, source 3, source 4. Now you have the aim, you have the method used, the population, the conclusion, and evaluation. Okay, so you are going to organize all your work like this. Let's assume that you have 20 papers you downloaded, which means that you are going to have 20 sources. Okay, and then a summary table collates the key points of each source under consistent heading. Okay, and then this is good. This is a good approach if your sources tend to have a similar structure. For instance, if your study is empirical or it's on empirical studies. Okay, so what that means here is that, let's assume that you have 5 papers. You write all the methods here. So at the end of the day, you will see similarities and differences in all the 5 papers. Okay, let's assume that the population, you will see all the differences in the population used. Okay, and then the conclusion. Okay, because most of the time you are going to use the conclusions in your discussion. Okay, you will see the similarities and differences. So at the end of the day, when you have your own results, you know how to work things out. Okay, if you're writing a literature review, you know exactly how your literature are connected. So you are able to fit them together without any problem. Okay, so each row in the table lists one source. Okay, and each column identifies specific part of the source. So you can decide which heading to include based on what's most relevant to the literature you are dealing with. So this is how to begin it. For example, you might include columns like aims, method, variables, population, sample size, and so on and so forth, depending on what you are looking for. Okay, so for each study, briefly summarize each of these aspects. Okay, so in your table, you are not just going to copy paste everything that is found in those papers. So you are going to just write summary of the method used, summary of the population used, summary of the conclusion, and so on and so forth, like that. If there were recommendations, summary of the recommendation. So you are going to give summary of everything. So at the end of the day, it is these summaries that you are going to put in your own word to produce your own work. And when you do it that way, plagiarism will be killed completely. Okay, because you are combining different sources, okay, to make your own. Okay, so that is how you do it. All right. So the summary table gives you a quick overview of the key points, okay, of each source. Okay, so you will be able to work things out. So this allows you to group sources, okay, by relevant similarities, as well as noticing important differences or contradictions in findings. Okay, so I will say that until you are able to download around 20 different papers which are related to your study, you are not ready to start. And then after you download, you make your table and begin to organize them. Make summary of all the aims, of all the methods used. summary of the population, summary of the results, summary of the conclusion, summary of the recommendation of evaluation, and so on. And then you are ready to go. So when it is done, you have a clear picture of what your study, of what other studies are on regarding the topic you are writing on. Okay, so you can do something like that. Okay, so you have the research question. Source one, that could be the title of the paper. Okay, so you have the purpose, the method, the results. You can have the conclusion, the recommendation, and so on. Okay, the purpose, what were the author's intent, method, what method were used, result, what solution was found, and so on and so forth. So you use them throughout, you use it. And then at the end of the day, you have something concrete to work on. Instead of just copying and pasting information from here and there, like that, you're going to have a problem. Okay? And usually over here, you are going to provide the reference here. Okay, so in all your table, all the references are. Okay, so take note of this. Okay, now let's look at synthesis matrix. Okay, so it's useful when sources are more varied, okay, in their purpose and structure. For example, when you are dealing with books, okay, and essays making various different arguments about the topic. Okay, so if your materials or the sources you have downloaded, books you are using, have different claims regarding the topic. Okay, this is where synthesis matrix is needed. So each column in a table lists one source. Okay, and then each row is labeled with a specific concept or topic or theme. Okay, that recurs across all or most of the sources. Okay, and then for each source, you need to summarize the main points or argument related. Okay, argument related to the theme. Okay, so this is how you are going to do it. Okay, let's say for example, this particular topic, there are different views. Okay, there are different views about that particular topic. So now you're going to group them this way. You're going to make the table this way. So you have team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, or view 1, view 2, view 3, view 4. Okay, and then you have source 1, source 2, source 3, source 4. And what that means is that this particular study, what did they say? Okay, and then this one, what did they say? So whatever claim they have made, you are going to write them in there. So here, you are not going to do your literature review based on the purpose, the method, and so on and so forth. But this is a thematic literature review. Okay, thematic literature review. So you are going to present your argument based on themes. Okay, so the purpose of the table is to identify common points that connect the sources. Okay, as well as identifying points where they diverge or they disagree. Okay, so step 2, what you do is you need to outline your structure. You need to outline your structure. Okay, and this is what you do. Now you should have a clear overview, okay, of the main connections after you have made the table, okay, and the differences between the sources you have. So the next thing is to decide on how to group them, okay, and then order them, okay, in order to make your discussion easier. If you are writing a short paper, okay, your outline can just justify the focus of each paragraph. However, for longer papers, you might want to divide it into subsections. Okay, so if your paper is very long, lengthy, you should also include subheadings. For example, the image here, okay, this is a thesis statement, okay. There are three details, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3. So if your paper is a short paper, okay, detail 1, 2, and 3 can be enough. And then the conclusion. But if it's a long discussion, then you have to provide more detail. So supporting detail 1, supporting detail 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, if you have long paragraphs, okay, if you have short paragraphs, then after the thesis statement, 1 to 3 statements are enough. Okay. Now let's look at approaches for literature synthesis. Okay, the first one is chronological. Okay, which is history in order. So for sources that cover broad, okay, you use the chronological. Okay, so over here, use this when you find patterns in how researchers approach the topic over a period of time or over a long period of years. Okay, so group articles into time period. For example, you are going to do your discussion articles in the first 3 years, articles in the last 5 years, in the next 10 years, and so on and so forth. That is called chronological. And then we have thematic. Okay, so here you are going to do your discussion based on themes, like I mentioned earlier. So that means that each paragraph or section, okay, focuses on a specific theme. Okay, focuses on a specific theme. Okay, so that is how it could look like. Now, number 3 is methodological. Over here, use this approach if you are drawing on literature, okay, from various different fields, okay, or they use wide variety of methods. So like you see here, maybe the topic you are writing on, there are some authors use maybe qualitative, others use quantitative. Okay, so in this case, you do your discussion using this particular approach. Okay, so over here, you have content analysis, historical, geography, action, research, survey, and so on and so forth. So you do your discussion based on the method you. Okay, and then we have the theoretical. So this, if your literature is based on theories, then you use this approach. Okay, you use this approach. So that means comparing the different theories that have been developed, okay, and grouping them together based on the position or perspective they take. Okay, so you are going to write it based on theories like that. And then step number 3, now you have to write paragraphs, okay, with topic sentences. Okay, so now synthesis combines different sources. Okay, so the easiest way to think about this, okay, is that each paragraph should discuss few different sources. Okay, sometimes the problem we have is in one paragraph we have one source, and that is not okay. So every paragraph you need to have 2 or more sources, okay, to talk about synthesis in your literature review. So every paragraph should have 2 or 3 sources combined. Okay, so you don't just use one source for one paragraph. If you do it that way, then that is not synthesis. Okay, so you begin, okay, by using a thesis statement and then supporting statement and then a conclusion. So usually it appears at the start of the paragraph, okay, and then the topic sentence signals what the whole paragraph is about. So every paragraph you need to begin it with a topic sentence, which is very important. Okay, so a topic sentence can be a simple summary okay, of the paragraph's content. Okay, for example, you can say something like, early research on X focused on blah 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 blah. Okay, before you begin talking about each one thing. Okay, or you can say something like, for an effective sentencing, you can use topic sentence to back um, link back to the previous paragraph, highlighting a point of debate or critique. So what we are saying here is that if you are doing your literature review to avoid plagiarism, you should use a topic sentence. Okay, and the topic sentence should introduce the entire paragraph. Okay, and the paragraph should link back to the topic sentence. Okay, so like this this paper here. So we have the topic sentence, we have supporting sentence, and then we have conclusion. Okay, okay. So look at this example here. We have several scholars have pointed out the flaw in this approach. This will be the topic sentence. And then after this, you are going to go into the actual paragraph and discuss the actual body of the text. Okay, another example. While recent research has attempted to address the problem, many of these studies have methodological flaws that limit their validity. So this becomes like a topic sentence, and then after that, we are going to go into the detail of the paragraph. Okay, so every paragraph you need to do it that way. So when you use topic sentence, it will bring cohesion, okay, in your discussion, especially in the literature review, okay. And then also know that as you write your paragraph, avoid quoting directly from sources. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. This is something you need to avoid. So don't try to cover every single point from. Don't try to cover every single point from every single source. Okay, the key to synthesizing is to extract the most important and relevant information and combine it to give your reader an overall picture of the thing. So like I mentioned, every paragraph in your literature review, make sure you don't use one source. Use 2, 3 or more sources in every paragraph doing your literature review. And that is called synthesis. So you use different ideas, you put them together, and you make your own. Now, step number 4, you need to revise, edit, and proofread. So that is what you need to do here. So you are done, you read through it, you check everything is okay. Okay, now this is the checklist. Number 1, okay, you have to ask yourself, do I introduce the paragraph with clear focus topic sentence? Number 2, do I discuss more than one source in the paragraph? Okay, number 3, do I mention only the most relevant finding rather than describing every part of the study? Okay, usually this is one of the mistakes. Okay, if you are writing your literature review, I don't just present the finding, okay, but also discuss, talk about the actual study. You can talk about the method which was used. You can talk about the aim of the study, the population which was used, before you talk about the results which was found. Okay, in doing your synthesizing, especially in the literature review. Then ask yourself, do I discuss the similarities or differences between the sources? Okay, so all the sources you use, you have to also discuss the similarities and differences. And when you do that, you really escape plagiarism completely. And then ask yourself, do I put findings or argument of the sources in my own words? So you have to put it in your own words. Then is the paragraph organized, okay, around a single idea? And then is the paragraph directly relevant to the topic, to my research topic or question? Then is there logical transition? Is there logical transition from this paragraph to the next paragraph, in the next one? So also make sure that between paragraph there is some kind of cohesion, okay, logical transition, uniform flow, so that it will not just be copy and paste information. That paragraph 1 does not connect with paragraph 2. No, it should not be like that. Everything needs to be orderly done. Now let's look at plagiarism check, how to use plagiarism tools to check plagiarism. Now these are the available tools, some of them, not all. Okay. Now the first one you can look at is plagiarism small, plagiarism detector small SEO2.com. You can use it to check plagiarism. It's free. You can check 1,000 words per check-in. You can use duplicate checker. It's also free. You can check 1,000 words. Okay. You can use plagiarism detector.net. You can also check up to 1,000 per check-in. So if you check 1,000 words, then you copy paste in your word. After that, you check another, and so on and so forth. Now we have Keytent, we have EasyBin, and we have PlugScan. These are not free. There is free trial. Okay, they are not free. And then we have Turnitin, we have Grammarly, we have Plagiarism, and then we have Scribble. Okay, these are also not free, they are paid. Okay, let me say that among all the plagiarism for use among scholars, the most, let me say, the best ones, they are these ones. Turnitin, Grammarly, Plagiarism, and then Scribble. They are the best. Okay, they are the best because these cover a lot of database. Okay, a lot of database are integrated in this. Okay, a lot of database are integrated in this. Most institutions use Turnitin. Okay, most institutions, this is used by institutions. And for independent writers, they use Grammarly. And Grammarly is also very good, very, very good. And Grammarly, the advantage of Grammarly over Turnitin is that Grammarly can be integrated into Microsoft Word. So you can check your plagiarism, grammar, and all things using Microsoft Word without needing to go to the internet like that. So these are some of them that you can use. So I'm going to show you which one I'm using. I use Grammarly. Okay, I use the paid version. Okay, to check my papers, the papers we work on. We usually use Grammarly.com. Okay, to check papers. So I'm going to show you maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of them, how you can use them to check your plagiarism. So let's begin with Grammarly.com. Okay, let's begin with Grammarly.com. So I'm going to go to my laptop, and then I'm going to share my screen with you again. Okay. All right. So we are here again. So I'm going to go to the website Grammarly.com. Okay, let's open. Okay, here I am already in my Grammarly account. Okay, so if you don't have an account, what you can do is just create account in Grammarly. Okay, just create account. And then if you create account, Grammarly is going to send you email. And then you need to confirm your email. Okay, after confirmation, then you can use. Okay, Grammarly can be used to check grammar problems. And it can also be used to check plagiarism. So I'm going to show you something here. I have this information here. We are going to use it to check our plagiarism. Okay, so you can copy paste or you can just upload. So I'm going to upload this one in here. I'm going to upload. So it's taking me to my document. Okay, so I'm going to upload this document. It's being uploaded. Okay. Okay, so it's uploaded. The document is uploaded. Like you can see, all the grammar issues are underlined. Okay, the red means the most serious grammar issues. Okay, the blue means that not really serious, but need to be fixed. And then there are other colors. There are a lot of color coding in here. Okay, so you can see. So you have the premium account. You can use it to fix all your grammar problems. Okay, if we go down here, there is plagiarism here. So we are going to click on this, and then we'll check the percent plagiarism. Okay, now let me click. So I click on this, and then it's checking the plagiarism over here. Okay, so after the plagiarism is detected, then you need to use quoting, paraphrasing, okay, to fix the plagiarism issue. So if you can see, if you check down here, the percent plagiarism is 25%. Okay, can you see that? Okay, yes. So now if you want to download the plagiarism report, you are going to go over here and then you can click on download. Okay, so if you click on download, it's going to download the plagiarism report. Okay, it's going to download the plagiarism report. Okay, it's going to download everything. So like you see here, 25% plagiarism. Okay, so let's see how we can fix this. If we want to fix the plagiarism, we say the number one way we can fix it is a paraphrase. Number two is to quote. Okay, is to quote. That is how we can do it. Now let's try first with paraphrasing. Let's see if we can remove the plagiarism over here. Okay, let's see if we can remove the plagiarism. Okay, so here it begins like this. According to Clark and Moore, on the role of women, they stress that human history gives a very confusing picture of the proper role of women in the family and society. Okay, in some cases, she is the dominant figure, while in many cultures throughout. So it's saying that this particular site was taken from this website. Okay, so we need to put it in our own words. Number one. Number two, we need to change the structure. We need to change the structure. Okay, so let's begin now. Okay, so according to Clark and March 2018, the role of women, on the role of women, they stress that human history gives a very confusing picture on the proper role of women uh, in the family and society. Human history. So the first step is to understand the text, because if you don't understand it, you cannot put it in your own words. So you need to understand what it's saying. Okay? So if you read it the first time, you don't understand, read it again. If you don't understand, read it again until you understand it very well. Okay? You need to read one or two times, understand it very well, then you can put it in your own word. So he said human history gives a very confusing picture, okay, on the proper role of women in the family. Okay, so we can move this down. Okay, let's move this down and then let's begin. Okay, so according to Clarkman and Mark, okay, on the role of women, they stress, okay, they stress that the function of women, the function of women is not properly, highlighted, is not properly highlighted in history. Is not properly highlighted in history. Okay, let's see if there's something we have left out. Okay, so it's not properly highlighted in history. So this makes it difficult. This makes it difficult. Okay, now we are trying to point out what is here. Very confusing picture. Okay, so this makes it very difficult to point out the particular duties, of women in family, in family and society. Okay, society. Okay, so we have paraphrased it. Okay, we have paraphrased it. Okay, now I'm going to delete this part. Okay, and then I'm going to delete up to here. Okay, so let's delete this. Okay, so you know that all the part I wrote here is not there is no line under them, which means that it's not plagiarized. You got a point? It's not plagiarized. Okay, so now let's look at the second part here. That history has been viewed as a second class at best, and a little more than property or chattel. Okay, so we need to phrase this sentence to make it sensible so that it will make sense. Okay, let's say that we can begin by saying on this account, on this account, okay, history, okay, has viewed women as second class at best. Okay, so let's begin this with a big letter, and then we need to connect it back to what we have done already over here. So you see we have removed the plagiarism over here, okay, up to this point, okay, up to this point. Okay, so this part says a little more than property. Okay, so we have to see how we can put this. So let's move this down again. Okay, so on account, women, history has seen women as history has viewed, not has been viewed, has viewed women as second class, and okay, and as laborers. Okay, let's call them as laborers, or we call it slaves, as slaves. Okay, so over here we are talking about property and chattel. So we are going to we're going to use the word slaves over here to replace this one here. Okay, so you see that we have fixed all the plagiarism issue here by using paraphrasing. Okay, we have fixed the plagiarism over here. Okay, now let's use quote and see if we can remove this one as also. Okay, so let's begin with this one here. Okay, so we are going to say that Clark and Mark points out or emphasize, let's use emphasize, emphasizes, okay, emphasizes that, okay, then let's put this over here. Let's begin with a quote. And then let's close here with a quote. Okay, so even using quote here, we see that the plagiarism was not removed. We still have 4% over here, as we can see. So which means that we still need to paraphrase it or change some of the words, okay, in order to remove the plagiarism completely. Okay, so emphasizing that the Bible gives many examples of women, including those who were righteous and those who were wicked and those who were strong. Okay, so we can say that. Now let's move this down in order to okay, in order to be able to do it well. So we are going to say that Clark and Mark emphasizes, okay, emphasizes the point of view or the viewpoint of the Bible. Okay, then we are going to use our colon and then our quote begin. Okay, because we are using introductory sentence here. Okay, and then after that, let's bring this back and see if the plagiarism will go or not. If it doesn't go away, then we still need to what do you call it, paraphrase again. Okay, so we need to paraphrase. Now let's say uh, the Bible, the Bible uh, recognizes the role or the unique role of women through history, okay, through history, okay, and then we can mention specific people in the Bible. For example, over here, he's talking about righteous women. He's talking about uh, those who are wicked, and then those who were strong. So we can talk about strong women. Okay, for example, Deborah, and then we can talk about Esther, a righteous woman, and so on and so forth. So now we are going to present specific example. Okay, for instance, Esther was considered as righteous, comma. Okay, Deborah was viewed as strong. Okay, however, Delilah was a wicked woman. Okay, so over here, we are not just going to use the same thing. So we are going to delete all this. Now we have presented this in our own language. Now you can see here that the plagiarism has reduced to 17%. Before it was 25%. Okay, then we bring our quotes again. It has been reduced to 70%. So you can keep on doing paraphrasing until all the plagiarism is removed completely. So keep paraphrasing and paraphrasing. So when you are done with everything, then you can download your work completely. So you can, you can do it by putting it in your own words. And the good thing about Grammarly is that it also checks the grammar at the same time. It checks the grammar at the same time. Maybe you are not really good with grammar, okay? But the good thing about Grammarly is it will check the grammar for you. It will check the grammar for you. So if you are done with the plagiarism, we can go back, click back, okay? Then we will fix, now we are going to fix all the grammar issue. So all the suggestions here, okay, we click them, okay? So all the grammar problems are going to be fixed by just clicking on the suggestions which are being provided over here. Okay, so let me move this down a little. Okay, so let me click over here. Let me see, how can okay, so if you click on this, each of them you click, it will provide you with suggestions. Okay, so this is suggestion 1, 2, and 3, whichever we want to use. Okay, we can choose. And then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, let's do the suggestion given. He said rephrase, so we choose rephrase, and then it is done. Are considered, he said it's passive. Okay, so we'll just leave it like that. And then over here is given a suggestion. Okay, Now the suggestion, now we are fixing the grammar issues. So let's read the suggestion. If it's okay with you, then you do it. If the suggestion is not okay with you, you need to change. Okay, so let's read. According to Clark and Mark, 2018, on women's role, okay, blah, blah, blah. So it's good. So let's choose it. Now we are fixing all the grammar problems. Okay, now let's check this one. What's the problem here? We have red here. Okay, it will give, it said we have to put comma here. So we put a comma. And then there's another issue here. He said, okay, difficult. That's wrong. It makes it difficult. So we have to fix this one here. Difficult. Okay. Is it correct now? Okay. Okay, I think double F. Okay, double F. So we fix it now, and then we go over here. Then we fix it. Women, we fix it. And then over here too, I said we should put that. Okay, we put it. And then as a second, okay, we put it. So you recheck, go through this process, and then all the problems in the paper will be fixed. The grammar issues, the plagiarism issues, everything will be fixed. Okay, it will fix everything for you. So by the time you do all this rephrasing, paraphrasing, everything, okay, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. So by just using Grammarly, you can fix all these things. But let me say that to do this, you are going to need the paid account. You are going to need a paid account. So if you don't have the paid account, we do free plagiarism report check. Okay, so we can just do the report check for you, and then we'll print the report for you. Then now you need to paraphrase it. After that, we will check it again for you until the plagiarism is reduced to up to about 15%. So this is how you can use Grammarly to fix all the problems in your paper, not just the grammar issues, but you can also fix the plagiarism. So every problem in the paper is going to be fixed completely. Okay, so that is one. Now let me go back to my let me check another one. Let's use plagiarism.net, plagiarismdetector.net. That is also another plagiarism detector or website that you can use if you want to check your paper. It also got free version. Let me say that Grammarly does not have free version for checking plagiarism, but it's got a free version for checking grammar. Okay, so if you want to use Grammarly to check your plagiarism, you have to use the paid version, or we can check it for free for you. Okay, we'll just print the report for you, and then when the report is printed, you can fix it with paraphrasing and quoting. Okay, so now we are here in plagiarismdetector.net. This has got a paid version and a free version. Okay, so over here, you are going to copy and paste the thing, the text you want to check. Okay, so I'm going to copy and then I'll paste in here. It can check up to 1,000 words per check-in. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so let's copy and paste. Okay, it's pasted. Okay, it pasted. Okay, so now let's go down here, and then over here we will see this. Okay, we have checked grammar, we have checked plagiarism, we want to check plagiarism. So let's click on check plagiarism. This is a free website, free software that we can use. Okay, so let's see, we wait for some few seconds and then it's going to give us the report. Okay, it's loading, so we wait for some few seconds. Okay, it's loading, 11% now. So wait for like 10 to 15 seconds, and then it will be done loading. Okay, still loading, 22% now. Okay, checking 33%. 44. Okay, 56. Okay, so like I said, we can always check your plagiarism report for you. So after we check for you, you can we'll print or we send a PDF to you. So you will know the particular areas in your work which is plagiarized so that you can fix it. After you fix it, you can send it to us. We'll check again for you. And then you know the report. So if it's less than 15%, it means that your paper is ready for submission. Okay, I think it's done checking, it's finalizing. Okay, so let's see. Now here it's saying it is 31% plagiarized. Okay, 31% plagiarized. Okay, so if you check here, all the red areas are plagiarized. Okay, so you need to paraphrase all the red areas in order to remove the plagiarism. Okay, so you can use a plagiarism detector for free. Just copy paste like 1,000 words per check. So after that, you download the report, then you check. So at the end of the day, you will know which areas of your paper have been plagiarized so that you can fix them. Okay, all right. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So I provided over here a whole list of some of the plagiarism software that you can use. So you can check them out and then practice using some of them and see how it will go. Okay, so you can check them out and then practice using them. Now let's talk about paraphrasing. Okay, I have showed you how to paraphrase. Okay, so let's go a little more deeper into that. Okay, let's go a little deeper into paraphrasing. So paraphrasing is presenting ideas and information in your own words. Okay, so by using your own words, you demonstrate that you really understand the text. Okay, all right. So how to effectively paraphrase? Okay, number one, read the original text until you really understand it. Make sure you understand before you begin to paraphrase. Okay, and then note the keywords. Note the keywords. After that, write down your own version of the text without looking at the original text. Okay, and then compare the paraphrase text uh, with the original text and make sure that it means the same thing. Okay, and then you can edit it if there's a need to edit again, and make sure that the similarity, the meaning is the same, but the similarity are different. Okay, then make sure you have included citation. So every time you paraphrase, you need to include citation. Okay, this is an example. of a paraphrase. So change the voice, okay? Change the voice of the source text. For example, if what you want to paraphrase is a passive voice, make it active. If it's an active voice, make it passive. Okay, so you should always change the structure. If you don't change the structure and you change only the words, plagiarism will still be detected. Okay, so by changing the voice of the sentence, like active to passive or passive to active, you can alter the general structure of your paraphrase. Okay, and then put it in your own words. You can use thesaurus, okay, as well, or synonyms. Actually, Microsoft Word has an option for synonyms. So you can use synonyms, okay, to change everything. But make sure that the structure is changed as well. If you use only synonyms and you don't change the structure, plagiarism will still be detected. Now, these are some words and how you can paraphrase them. For example, we have over here, we have keywords in question. You can say similar words in the recording. We have follow orders. You can say when someone tells you to do something, immediately, straight away. So you can just play with words, okay? So make sure that everything is done. Okay. Uh, this is an example here. So this is the paraphrase. This is the direct quote. Okay, so you see here that let's read together. Let's read here. Okay, as Miller 2012 notes, okay, uptake of 300 cc injected regorafenib was introduced by one time for each 0.5 increase in hypoxia in the tumor organ. Okay, so to paraphrase, it sounds like this over here. In his study, in his 2012 study, Miller discusses recent innovations, okay, in interferon drugs. He writes that increasing levels of tumor hypoxia significantly reduce the uptake of regorafenib. Okay, so just put it in your own words, but make sure you understand it very well. Okay, so this is also another example. Okay, so using signaling term, for example, they write, Tim notes that, he believes that. Okay, these are words that you can use, okay, in the beginning. Okay, these are some words here. For example, over here, we have neutral position. We have agreement with the author, disagreement. Okay, so you can say that believe, Miller believes. Okay, in agreement, you can say that Miller shows that. Instead of saying believe, you can say shows that. Okay, so you said that Bruce 1994 showed that instead of saying believe. So if it's in disagreement, you can say that Lajola neglects to include or disagrees, and so on and so forth. So over here we have conclude, observe, propose. Okay. So in synonym, you can say demonstrate evidence. Demonstrate evidence. You can say that. Okay. Or you can say disregard, overlook. Overlook. So just use synonyms to present whether you are in agreement or you are in disagreement. Okay, you are in agreement or in disagreement. And then merge multiple sentences. Okay, here is where I mentioned before, talking about synthesis. Putting so many words and so many sentences together and paraphrasing it. Okay, so one major reason to paraphrase is to capture the main idea. So only use one sentence or two in your own paraphrase, combining different ideas or different sources. Okay, these are some of the keywords you can use. Okay, for example, affected by drop in sales. You can say like suffering suffering from falling sales. You can say growing competition. You can say increased competition. We have causes of problem. You can say setback. So you can use different ways, phrases to just change the meaning of the whole thing so that it will not look like the original. Okay, now let's look at some tips. Start your sentence at a different point from the original. Okay, so you can bring the end of the sentence to the beginning, okay, by using your own words. That is what I mentioned earlier. You need to change the structure. Number two, use synonyms. Number three, change the verb, change the form of the words. Okay, for example, if it is if it is simple past, you can use a present tense, or you can use present continuous, and so on and so forth. Okay, then change the sentence structure. Okay, for example, this is an original passage, and this is the legitimate paraphrase. Okay, now let's read and see. Students frequently overuse direct quotation in taking notes, and as a result, they overuse quotation in a final research paper. Probably only about 10% of your final manuscript should appear as direct quoted matter. Therefore, you should strive to limit the amount of exact transcribing of source materials while taking note. So this is the original passage. In paraphrase, it sounds like this. In research papers, students often quote excessively, okay, failing to keep quoted material down to a desirable level. So instead of 10%, it's replaced with desirable level. Okay, since the problem usually originates during note taking, it is essential to minimize the material recorded verbatim. So this is a paraphrase of the original text. Okay, it doesn't, it sounds the same, but it doesn't look the same. So if you fit this into a plagiarism check, you are not going to have any problem. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our discussion. Now let me open the door to questions and answers. Let's look at the questions that have been asked here, and then let's address them. If you have questions, please use the Q&A. I'm going to, if you want to ask the question directly, that is also okay. That is also okay. Let's just interact. Let's interact, and then let's see. Okay, just a moment. Let me show everybody. Okay, you can turn on your video now. You can turn on your video. You can turn on your video, and let's do discussion. Let's do the final discussion. Okay, let's do the final discussion. Let's take the questions here. Okay. First question from just a moment. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to Okay. Okay, let me read through the question here. Okay, from Mom as Marlene. How about if I want to get an idea of an author, but the idea was from another author, which was also used. Okay, if you want to, maybe it's quoted by somebody, so you can say something like, according to John, as found in, then you put that in bracket, as quoted, as found in, maybe as found in Peter, blah blah blah. Or better way, what you can do is you can go to the original author of the information and then directly quote from the person, instead of quoting from a second author. You can always use the first author. Okay, you can always use the first author. Okay, another question here. Maybe request the recorded version. Yes, the recorded version will be given to you. So you can go back to the first author. Maybe you saw my paper, but I reference from another author. Okay, so you can go to the original author and quote from that original author, or you can quote me and then you put the original author in brackets or in parentheses. Okay, as a way to point back to who originally has the idea. Okay, so that is two ways you can do that. But personally, usually, if I found this information in this particular paper, but this person got it from that original person, I go to that original person and then I quote from that person directly instead of quoting from the secondary. Okay, so that is what I prefer, because I have seen so many papers with that kind of expression, as cited by. Okay, as cited by. Usually, I don't want a cited by in my paper, so I will always go to the original author, and then I will quote from the original author directly. Okay. Let me see if your camera is off. Let me try to bring it back again, uh, because some of the videos keep showing on the screen. Okay, if your camera is stopped, I'm starting it for you, please. Okay. 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 All right. Let me see if there are still some more questions. Okay, start your camera. Okay. Let me take the look at the next question. If you want to talk, it's okay. You can talk and ask your question. That's okay. Let's interact. If you have some more questions, you can talk, please. Just switch on your microphone and then you can talk. Okay.
Sir Stavros Karmaliorakis, may I ask something, please?
Can you raise up your voice a little, please?
Yes. May I ask, please? You done a comparison for Grammarly and Tender and the others. What I would like to ask is, there is any way by your research, if someone through the university or by itself, or five of us together, for example, to organize anything with them as to have a better price, just asking if you, find something in your research, any kind of this information for us. Thank you, sir.
If I'm not sure if I heard you well. Your voice is a little distant. You are asking about Grammarly, right? Am I correct?
I am asking, and I am talking very, I'm sorry for my microphone probably. I am asking, through your research, you have done a lot of research upon Grammarly and other issues for plagiarism.
Yes.
Have you find anything that can help us as to, individually or not, to organize a better price as us to have it and to
To
help us in
organize a better one.
price, pricing?
Okay.
Go three of us or four of us, for example, to Grammarly to ask a better price. Have you ever seen these things? Have you ever been there? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Okay. Yeah, Grammarly, there is individual account, there is a group account. So if you want to do it as a group, okay, you can apply for the group account. Okay, maybe that will be easier and cheaper for you. So any of you can log into the group account and then use it. Okay, because there's individual and group account. So whichever you want to do it. Personally, I'm using the individual account. Yeah, but if you want to use the group account, you can come together and then you can create the group account and you can use it. That is cheaper to use than the individual accounts. Yeah.
But this is only in Grammarly. Do you know if there is in other programs too, sir? Because in Grammarly, particularly, I'm using individual too. But I haven't seen anything in other programs that you mentioned for further analysis. That's why.
Okay. The other programs, especially the paid version, for example, Turnitin, that is the program which is used by most institution. It's good for institutional use. So there is, it's paid, but let me say that for most work, if you are individual or just small group of people, Grammarly is usually the best version because for Turnitin, when you are signing in, there are three options. You're a student, you are a teacher, assistant, or an institution. These are the three options for Turnitin. If you're a student, they are going to ask for your enrollment number and so on and so forth. Okay, so for easier use, small group or for as an individual, uh, Grammarly is usually the best. Grammarly is usually the best. And because it could easily be integrated into Microsoft Word, it's usually good. Turnitin cannot be integrated into Microsoft Word, but Grammarly can be used. So most of the time when I'm doing my editing, I don't go to Grammarly. I just do it in Microsoft Word, and then that is easy to use. I'm not sure if I answered your question correctly. Okay. Any other questions, please? Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
is the plagiarism, is it only applicable for researches that is in the internet? How about books? Because I was trying to get some in my research through the
Yeah.
books. When I tried putting it in the Grammarly, uh, there was no plagiarism detected.
Yes.
I was just exploring that time. I put
Um,
the whole paragraph in the Grammarly from a book, and I did not find any plagiarism at all.
it's like this. If you're using an old books during those days, they were not found on the internet.
And-
But recently, most books, maybe books like 10 years ago, they are all on Amazon. You get a point? They are on the internet.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
if the book is old, Grammarly cannot detect because it's not on the internet.
Okay.
Okay,
So it's only
but if it's a new book, which is the stock copy has been loaded online, then Grammarly can detect it. Yeah. Usually
okay. Thank you, sir.
that's how it is.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other questions, please?
Sir, please. Cecile Mambuay.
Yes, ma'am.
Usually, in video presentations and other materials we find in YouTube, there's some sort of disclaimer
Yeah.
that they are not the owner of the original music, etc. So, how does it affect plagiarism? I mean, you cannot be sued because there's already a disclaimer that the uploader of that video does not own the material used.
Yeah, it depends on what you are using the video for. If you are using the video for money, even when you disclaim, they can sue you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If it's just a fair use, then you will not be you are not going to be sued when you disclaim. Okay, maybe you are just presenting an education program on Facebook and then you use that video. Okay, because you are not monetizing what you are doing, the owner of the music will not sue you. But if you are using it for monetary purpose, you'll be in a big trouble. Yeah, plagiarism, in music they call it copyright. You have a big problem if you are using it for monetary purpose. So that is the difference. If it's not for monetary purpose, no problem. Okay, but if it's for monetary purpose, then you cannot even use disclaimer if you're using somebody's video.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more questions, please? Okay, so if there are no more questions,
Sir,
okay, ma'am.
in connection to that YouTube, if we are going to use that for instruction, we will not be sued.
Yes, if you are using it for instruction, you will
Hello,
not be sued. No problem with that.
into that YouTube, if we're going to the link of YouTube video for instruction purposes, that's
Yes. Come again, please. Okay, if you are using it for educational purpose, no problem with that. You will not have any problem using it for educational purpose. So there'll be no problem at all. Okay, so everything will be okay. But for monetary purpose, you need formal permission from the owner of the. Okay. All right. So, if there's no question, let me just conclude. Like I was saying earlier, maybe you don't have the software or your institution does not have the software. Okay, we can do the plagiarism check for you. We'll just print the report for you so that at least you know that this area or that area of my paper contain this amount of plagiarism. So with that knowledge, you will be able to work on your paper through paraphrasing and quoting in order to fix the plagiarism issue. Okay, so we can do it. You just have to email your paper. If you email just in about maybe 20-30 minutes, we'll get it done. Just email it back to you so that you know exactly what to do. Okay. However, we do paper improvement, and then in the paper improvement, we fix all the plagiarism issues. We improve the whole paper, but in that case, we do it for a fee. After checking, if we want us to paraphrase and do all those things, that is for a fee. But checking the report for you, we can do it completely for free for you, so that you'll be the one to work on your paper and fix all the problems with that. Okay. All right. So let me introduce you to or introduce the training we are going to do on 27. Some of you have taken the peer reviewer certification already. Mom Catherine has taken it, and then Mom Rose has also taken it already. Mom, I think Mom Phoebe has registered, not taken yet. And then few of you have taken the peer reviewer certification. The good thing is that in the certification, you are going to be certified by Web of Science as a peer reviewer. Okay, you are going to get certification from Web of Science as peer reviewer. And then our organization is also going to give certification as peer reviewer. So you have double certification. Okay, and then when you are certified by Web of Science, honestly speaking, Scopus and Web of Science is considered the key database when it comes to journals, publication, and all those things. So being certified by Web of Science means that you are really competent. So in the training, we are going to teach you everything about peer review. And then personally, I serve as mentor for Web of Science Academy, which is called Publon's Academy. I serve as a mentor, one of the mentors. Okay, so I'm going to mentor you through the process and then check all your reviewer report. And then at the end of the day, Web of Science is going to certify you as a peer reviewer. Okay, and then when that happens, we can recommend some journals for you in case you are interested in joining a journal as a reviewer. Okay, we will recommend some journals to you so that you can write to them, apply as a reviewer. And then that will improve your professional ranking, because becoming certified, being certified will drastically improve your ranking, because Web of Science is considered as one of the leading database. Okay, so the training is going to be on March 27 and April 3, I think so, April 3 or April 4. It's going to be 16 hours training. Okay, 16 hours training. So if you want to join the training, you can avail of the promo. Okay, the regular fee is 2,500 pesos. But we have promo which will end on March 15. Okay, so you can join for 2,300. That is the promo fee. Okay, for those of you who have joined the past peer review, Ma'am Catherine, you can join this training on 27 for free. That will be a revision for you. Okay, you can, yes. That is
Really?
my gift for you.
Thank you.
You can join
Thank
it
you.
for free and refresh yourself again if you want to.
Okay. Thank
Okay, so
you.
that you will learn more and more. Okay, you can join again and learn. Okay, so I invite as many of you who want to join the training to be certified. Okay, you join and then get certified. And then the bonus is that when you join, you automatically get membership of our organization. You get 1 year membership, okay? And you can use that for your professional ranking as well, okay? To be part of an international research organization, that is good for you as well. So I will encourage you, if you want to be certified, you do. Now this is the qualification. If you have research background, maybe in your bachelor degree you took thesis, in your master's degree you took thesis, or in your PhD you took thesis or dissertation. Okay, if you have all this, you qualify to join the peer review. But if you did not take dissertation or thesis, then you are not qualified. Okay, so you need to have some research background. Okay, and that will be your qualification. That'll be your qualification for joining the peer review. Okay, so I invite you, if you want to be certified, you can join the training. Okay, any questions about that before we conclude? Any questions about the certification?
Where is Paul
Can I,
the I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Yeah, you can talk, please, sir.
Where is the links that we have to follow up?
Come again?
Where is the link that we have to follow up, sir?
Link for the training, the peer review training. All this, okay, okay. After you are done with the payment, we will send you the link and the handout. We have about maybe eight to 10 handouts. Okay, so if you want to join, you can just message us in the messenger. Okay, message us in our messenger, and then we will send you the detail about the training. We will send you the detail about the training. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, any more clarifications, please?
sir,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask some clarifications?
Yes, please.
Hello.
Hello, you can talk, please.
Hello.
Hello, you can talk, please.
Aside from the certificates, the certification, hello.
Yes, I'm listening.
Aside from aside from certification, you will giving us. I guess the internet is not
Yeah, we can hear
operating.
you. We can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, aside from the certification, when you are certified by us, you have some discount if you want to join future trainings. There are some training will just allow you to join if you want to join again. Okay, so apart from the certification, you have discounts in future trainings. And then there's some training you can join for free. And then you have the privilege also to join other journals as peer reviewer if you are interested in that. Okay, we'll just recommend some journals to you. And then you can write to them to join them as a peer reviewer. So those are the benefits apart from the certification. Okay, ma'am, did I answer your question?
Hi, sir. Good evening, everyone. Good evening,
Yes.
sir.
Good
Sir, I
evening.
would just like to ask, what about, statistical treatment and
Thank you,
interpretation
sir.
skills?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any more?
Yeah. Actually, we have not done any training on statistics. Maybe
Mm,
simply because almost in every university, when they talk about statistics. Okay,
yeah.
so what is lacking is the publication. That is what is
Ah,
actually lacking. Okay, so
okay.
our emphasis is always on how you can get your paper published because the universities teach about statistics, but most of them are not experienced with publication. Okay,
Yes.
so in the future, if it's necessary, we can have a training on the statistics component as well, and then
Yeah.
I can invite some more experts to join to share their experience as well. Okay,
Okay.
one
Okay.
other training which has been requested is how to publish a literature review in
Ah,
Scopus Journal or in ISI. Okay, so in the future, that will be a training we'll be taking how you can write a literature review and then get it published without any complication in statistics. Okay,
okay.
so
Thank you, sir.
that will
Thank
be the next thing we'll be looking at. But in the future, if it's necessary to do a training on statistics, we will do it. But as of now, that is not our focus. That's not our focus yet. Our focus is on research
Okay.
publication.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
sir. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Okay, any more clarification? Okay, so if there are no more questions, I want us to take a photo. Okay, so please, everybody, you switch on your camera and let me capture the screen. Everybody, please, if you cannot switch on your camera, let me know, and then let me switch it on for you. Switch on your camera, everybody, please. Okay, please, everybody, switch on your camera. Okay, very good. Yeah, we have around 40 participants for this training. Okay, so I'm capturing. Give me your best smile. Okay. All right. One, two, three. Ma'am Onga, your camera is upside down. Okay.
Sir, I do not know why. I'm sorry. Okay. There
Okay.
is, sorry for that, sir. There is something wrong with my camera. I do not know why. Although I'd love to join, but basically I do not know what's wrong with my camera, sir. I'm so sorry for that.
Okay, let's capture now your best. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, it's
it's
captured
better.
already. Okay,
Okay.
so thank you so much for joining the training. The last thing I would like you to do is to give us a rating. 0 is completely dissatisfied. 10 is very, very dissatisfied. So give us your rating in the comment. Okay, from 0 to 10. Give us your rating, please, before we finish. Okay, give us your rating from 0 to 10. Okay. All right. And then let me also say that presently, if your university does not have a journal and you want to start a journal, we can help you with that as well. Presently, I'm working with 2 graduate schools, okay, who want to start a journal, either a print journal or online journal, whichever. we can guide you step by step to get your journal set up as well. Okay, so that is one of the things we can help you to do. Okay, so on this note, I want to say maraming salamat po. Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So see you again in the next training. Okay, see you again, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
God
Bye.
bless
Thank
everybody.
you, Doc.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you po.
God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Likewise, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
And ito yung isang topic ni Lina, which we will be
Yes, thank you.
presenting in a while. Talks about national survival threat and the effective conservation of our natural environment in the face of industrial and agricultural